All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to go through how to start your portrait drawing. Remember, based on the video that we looked at yesterday, half of your face is going to show realism and half of your face is going to show a either cubist or stylized drawing. So what I have here on my Chromebook in front of me is I have that presentation from yesterday that had my image of Clive Owen and then with the guidelines in his face. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply copy that slide. So I'm going to duplicate my slide. And then in my second image, I'm going to take the picture and I'm going to delete the picture. So that way I just have those red guidelines showing. And that is what I'm starting with on my paper. So I have my blank white paper over here on this side. If you don't have a piece of blank white paper, check with your parents. See if they got a piece of junk mail in the mail recently that you can flip over and draw on the back of. You can use the inside of a box. So for instance, even something like the inside of a cereal box or the inside of a granola bar box will give you a nice flat drawing surface. You can use a brown paper bag and draw on like the inside of a brown paper bag. I could cut this to make like a brown piece of paper, that would work. Or of course, white paper is obviously the best. So if you have white drawing paper, use that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my guidelines that I had on that presentation from yesterday. So there's a straight line down the middle, then a line for eyes, nose, and mouth. And on my guy, Clive Owen, his eyes, nose, and mouth are actually slightly tilted to the side, so I'm going to make sure I do that too. Okay, so I'm going to shift this out of the way just because I'm right-handed. I'm going to start with that relatively straight line. It doesn't need to be 100% straight. If you have a ruler, that's great. You can make it perfectly straight, but I'm just going to start with essentially a straight line down the middle. And then if I look at that again, this eye line is almost halfway down the page. So I'm going to put it down pretty far. And then this is roughly where his nose would be and roughly where his mouth would be. Okay, the only thing that you're responsible for today is putting your eye on that drawing. So I'm going to go back into my slides and I'm going to focus just on that eye, the area of the eye. So same thing, I'm going to duplicate my slide again. So that way I have a really big image of him. And I'm just going to get rid of those guidelines because I have them on my paper already. And I'm going to make this, I'm going to crop it so I can just see his eye. Because today the only thing I want you focusing on is trying to do a really detailed eye of the image that you chose. And this is what I was talking about yesterday with the fact that you guys needed a high resolution image because that's going to make a world of difference. Okay, I prefer to make the right-hand side of my picture my realistic side because I am right-handed. So take that into consideration. If you're left-handed, you may want your realism side to be your left side. Doesn't really matter. All right, so you can see I've zoomed in nice and big, so I'm really looking at that eye. All right, so now I'm going to start doing the same thing that I did before. I'm just going to leave a space based on how wide I think his nose bridge is. I'm not going to worry about that spacing too much today because I'm really just going to focus down on that eye. So I'm just going to drop my eye and I can always go back and fix all these lines later. So I'm going to start the exact same way that I did before. And that's I have that center line and then I need to figure out exactly how that eye swoops across the center line. And this is the exact same thing that we did with your independent practice of your eye. You are looking really closely at those details, trying to figure out exactly where that iris appears, how big is the iris in relation to everything else. I'm drawing that whole circle to make sure it's nice and round. His pupil's up pretty high, so same thing. I'm going to draw the whole circle of the pupil. Kind of erase those details. And you do not need to do all of the shading on your eye today. What I really want you to do is just really get that shape of the eye on your paper. And honestly, it shouldn't take you more than maybe a half an hour for that drawing today. I'm just gonna pay attention to those shapes, start putting in highlights, and notice that I'm drawing relatively lightly with my pencil for right now. I'm not pushing down super hard because if I need to fix something, that's going to make it difficult to fix. So I'm just really paying attention to any details that I see, and I'm mostly just getting in. Kind of a basic line drawing. I will wait to do his eyelashes, but I am going to go ahead and add in just an outline of where his eyebrow will be. And to do that, I can draw a line straight up. This is where the front of his eyebrow starts. And then his eyebrow actually comes past his eye, comes all the way out, and kind of swoops down. All right, so once again, I'm just paying a lot of attention to any of those details in the areas around the eye. I'm not drawing super dark or anything. Just starting to, and I made this line too high. So I'm just really paying attention to those details. This whole line needs to drop. Okay, so I have just the eye drawn on my paper. I am going to start adding some value just into the inside of the eye itself. So I am going to go in and add the value to the eye. Like I said, exactly what you guys did during your independent practice. Just looking for those areas that are dark. And adding in some of that value. Remember, the whites of the eyes are going to have a shadow. So just starting to add some of those values just into the eyeball itself. And then building up any shadows that I see. On the whites of the eye. And then these corner areas. Okay, so I'm just starting to build some of that value. Don't worry about any of the skin today. Just build the value inside that eye itself. And I'm just trying to get, he has a really bright reflection, this area of his eye, so I want to make sure I get that. Another reflection down here. So I'm using my eraser and I'm going back and erasing those areas where I need to lighten up. And then I'm going to start adding more value again to darken everything up that needs to be a little bit darker. And using my eraser to lighten anything that needs to be lighter. And that is all you are responsible for today. So once again, you need to draw your guidelines, the same as what you added to your picture. And then you are just going to focus on that eye today. When you are done, you're going to take a picture of this image and you're going to put it onto the Google Slides, and I will walk you through how to do that as well. Okay, but the only thing that you need to do today is focus on those guidelines, draw the eye, make sure you zoom in on your picture so you can get all of those details in there, okay? And then make sure that you turn it in properly. And that's all you got to do today. All right, have a great day, guys.